The dark spacecraft slipped through Earth's atmosphere like a shadow, its sleek design unlike anything human engineers had created. Global defense systems flashed warnings across military installations worldwide, but the vessel's transponder broadcast diplomatic codes that hadn't been used in nearly a decade. Inside the ship, Nara adjusted her formal blue robes, then checked her daughter's appearance. 8-year-old Minna looked back with curious eyes that reflected starlight in ways that were neither fully Kalian nor human. "Remember what I told you," Nara said softly, her voice musical with the slight accent all Kalians carried when speaking Earth languages. "Humans will stare at us. It is not always because they mean harm." Minna nodded, touching the unusual markings that swirled across her forearms, patterns that no pure Kalian child would have. "Will my father stare too?" Nara paused, memories flooding back of June's kind face, his gentle hands as he treated her injuries during that fateful diplomatic mission 9 years ago. Against all protocols and despite the genetic barriers their people believed insurmountable, they had found connection. And now, evidence of that impossible bond sat before her, waiting with a child's impatience. "Your father will look at you with love," Nara finally answered, hoping it was true. She had no way of knowing if June even remembered her, or if he would accept the truth she brought with her. The landing pad at the Seoul International Spaceport hummed with energy as their ship settled onto its surface. Through the view screen, Nara could see the armed guards waiting. This wasn't the welcome she had received during the official diplomatic visit years ago. "They're afraid," Minna observed, watching the humans with 2 keen eyes. "Yes," Nara agreed. "Our people haven't returned to Earth since the trade negotiations failed. They have reason to be cautious." What she didn't say was that she was breaking at least 6 interstellar laws by being here. The Kalian High Council had forbidden unauthorized contact with Earth after declaring humans genetically incompatible and culturally unsuitable for further alliance. Her diplomatic credentials were outdated, and using them was technically fraud. But a mother would break any law to protect her child. The ship's door slid open, revealing Earth's sky. Brilliant blue, nothing like the purple atmosphere of her homeworld. Nara inhaled deeply, the oxygen-rich air almost intoxicating after the sterile environment of their journey. "Keep your head high," she instructed Minna. "You are both Kalian and human. You belong in both worlds." They walked down the ramp together, Minna's small hand cool in hers. The security detail tightened formation as they approached. At their center stood a woman in a crisp uniform adorned with the insignia of Earth's Interstellar Relations Division. Diplomatic envoy Nara of the Kalian Third House, the woman addressed her formally, though her eyes revealed surprise. "Your arrival was not scheduled in our systems. The matter is urgent and private," Nara replied, presenting her identification crystal. "I request Earth's temporary sanctuary under Article 7 of the Preliminary Contact Agreement." The woman took the crystal, scanning it with a handheld device. Her eyebrows rose when the authentication confirmed Nara's identity. Then her gaze shifted to Minna, and her professional mask slipped momentarily. "This is," she began. "My daughter," Nara stated firmly, "who falls under my diplomatic protection." The guards exchanged glances. Even without Kalian-enhanced perception, Nara could sense their uncertainty. No Kalian child had ever been brought to Earth, and Minna, with her mixed features, raised questions no one was prepared to answer. After a tense silence, the woman nodded. "We'll need to conduct standard biometric scans before granting entry. Please follow me." The processing center was clinical and efficient. Nara answered questions while keeping Minna close. She revealed only what was necessary. She sought a private meeting with researcher Kim Jung regarding a scientific matter from their previous collaboration. When the scanner passed over Minna, alarms blared. The technician stared at his screen in disbelief. "There must be an error," he muttered, running the scan again. Nara felt cold fear grip her spine. She had known this moment would come, but had hoped for more time to find June first. "No error," she said quietly. "My daughter's genetic structure is unique." The room fell silent. The lead officer approached, studying the readings. "This shows human DNA markers," she said. "That's impossible. Our species aren't compatible." Minna looked up at the officer without fear. "My father is human," she stated simply. "His name is Kim Jun. We've come to find him." The stunned silence that followed was broken by urgent whispers as officials conferred in the corner. Nara caught fragments. Contact Scientific Division. National security implications. Genetic verification required. She knelt beside Mina. "Remember your breathing exercises if you feel overwhelmed," she whispered. Mina nodded, her small fingers tracing the patterns on her skin that glowed faintly when she was stressed. Hours later, after blood samples and more questions, they were escorted to secured guest quarters within the spaceport complex. The room was comfortable but clearly monitored. Nara helped Mina settle on the sleep platform, singing an old Kalian lullaby until the child's breathing deepened. Alone with her thoughts, Nara moved to the window overlooking the sprawling lights of Seoul. Somewhere in that human city, or perhaps beyond it now, was the man she had never expected to love. A brilliant scientist whose compassion had broken through decades of Kalian prejudice against humans. The data tablet they'd been provided chimed with an incoming message. Nara's heart raced as she read the screen. Location of researcher Kim Jun identified. Current status: private research facility, Gangwon Province. Transport arranged for tomorrow. Request approved under restricted movement protocols. She closed her eyes in relief. The first hurdle cleared. Soon, she would face Jun again and reveal the miracle they had created together. A child who might bridge their worlds, or be rejected by both. Outside, as shooting stars streaked across Earth's night sky, Nara made a wish, something she'd learned from Jun during those stolen moments years ago. She wished for understanding, for acceptance, and most of all, for her daughter's safety in a universe that had never planned for her existence. The morning sun cast long shadows across the mountains of Gangwon Province as the transport vehicle wound its way through narrow roads. Nara sat rigidly in her seat, eyes fixed on the passing landscape so different from her homeworld's crystalline plains. Beside her, Minna pressed her face against the window, absorbing every detail of the Earth terrain with fascination. "Are there animals in those trees?" Minna asked, pointing to the dense forest. "Yes," Nara replied. "Earth has thousands of species living together in their ecosystems." Their escort, Officer Park, glanced at them through the rearview mirror. "Your daughter speaks our language perfectly," he observed, without any accent. Nara nodded. "She has an unusual facility for languages. She speaks 3 Kalian dialects and 4 Earth languages already." What she didn't mention was how Minna had learned Korean in just 2 days by absorbing information from educational tablets. Another sign of her unique hybrid abilities that worried Nara. Each new skill Minna revealed made her more valuable to those who would study her, and more dangerous to those who feared what she represented. The vehicle slowed as they approached a research complex nestled against a mountainside. The building looked ordinary from the outside, but Nara noticed the subtle security measures. Motion sensors disguised as decorative elements, scanning fields masked as lighting fixtures. "This is the Human Exobiology Research Institute," Officer Park explained. "Dr. Kim transferred here 3 years ago from Seoul National University." Nara felt her pulse quicken. After 9 years, she would see Jun again. Would he welcome them or reject them? Did he even remember their brief connection during her diplomatic mission? As they entered the facility, a slender woman in a lab coat approached. "I'm Director Han. Officer Park informed us of your arrival." Her eyes moved curiously between Nara and Minna. "We weren't aware any Kalians remained interested in Earth research." "My interest is specific to Dr. Kim's work," Nara stated carefully. Director Han's expression remained neutral. "Dr. Kim is currently at our field station. He's been tracking anomalous energy patterns in the mountain caves. We've sent word for him to return, but it may take several hours." Nara nodded, hiding her disappointment. "May we wait here?" "Of course. We've prepared a visitor area. Director Han hesitated. Would your daughter like to see our botanical gardens? We maintain samples of plant life from various Earth biomes. Mina looked up hopefully, and Nera gave a reluctant nod. That would be acceptable. As they followed Director Han through the facility, Nera noticed scientists pausing their work to stare. Some looked merely curious, others distinctly uncomfortable. One older researcher actively backed away when they passed. Please excuse some of our staff, Director Han said quietly. The diplomatic relationship between Earth and Kalia has been strained since your government classified humans as a restricted species. I am not here on official business, Nora replied. Director Han's eyes flickered to Mina. Clearly. The botanical gardens were housed in a large glass dome. Inside, carefully maintained environments showcased Earth's diverse plant life. Mina moved from display to display, fascinated by the colorful flowers and unusual growth patterns. May I ask a question that may seem impertinent? Director Han said softly while they watched Mina. Nera tensed but nodded. Your daughter, she's not fully Kalian, is she? Before Nera could formulate a safe answer, Mina approached a large flowering plant. As she reached toward it, several blossoms turned in her direction, opening wider as if reaching back. A scientist monitoring the display gasped. The mimosa plants shouldn't respond that way, Director Han whispered. They only react to specific light frequencies and... Mina stepped back, apparently realizing she'd drawn attention. The flowers slowly returned to their normal position. I think, Nera said carefully, we should continue this conversation in private. In Director Han's office, Nera revealed only what was necessary. Mina's father is human. We've come to find him because she needs medical attention only he can provide. But that's biologically impossible, Director Han argued. Our species have completely different cellular structures. The preliminary studies showed we. The preliminary studies were incomplete, Nera interrupted, and in some cases, deliberately falsified by my government. Director Han fell silent, processing this information. And her father is Dr. Kim Jun. Nera nodded. Does he know? No. I was recalled to Kalia before I discovered I was carrying her. Communication between our worlds was severed shortly after. A soft alert chimed on Director Han's computer. She checked the screen and stood abruptly. Dr. Kim has returned early. He's in the main laboratory now. Nera's hearts, both of them, seemed to freeze. After all the planning, all the risks, the moment had arrived without warning. When they entered the laboratory, Nera saw him immediately. Jun stood with his back to them, examining data on a large screen. He was thinner than she remembered, his hair now flecked with gray, but his focused posture was achingly familiar. Director Han cleared her throat. Dr. Kim, we have visitors. Jun turned, and his expression shifted from professional curiosity to absolute shock. The tablet he was holding clattered to the floor. Nara. His voice was barely audible. She inclined her head in the formal Kalian greeting. Hello, Jun. His eyes moved from her to Mina, who stood partially hidden behind her mother. For a long moment, the laboratory was completely silent. Then Mina stepped forward, her small face serious. You have the same eyes as me, she said simply. Jun slowly knelt down to the child's level, his hands trembling slightly. What's your name? He asked. Mina. She extended her hand in the human greeting Nera had taught her. Jun gently took her hand, and as their skin touched, the lights in the laboratory flickered. The computers briefly displayed cascading errors before stabilizing. Electromagnetic disruption, one researcher called out, checking systems. But Jun wasn't listening. He was staring at Mina's arm, where her sleeve had pulled back, revealing the distinctive patterns that glowed softly on her skin. Patterns that mirrored certain neural pathway illustrations on the screen behind him. How old are you, Mina? He asked, his voice unsteady. 8 Earth years, she replied. Jun looked up at Nera, his expression a complex mixture of wonder, confusion, and the beginning of understanding. "We need to talk," Nara said quietly. "And we don't have much time. My government has realized I've defied travel restrictions. They'll send agents to find us." In June's private laboratory, the three of them sat in uncomfortable silence. Medical equipment hummed softly as it analyzed Mina's blood samples. June kept glancing between the child and the data flowing across his screens, his expression shifting between disbelief and wonder. "This should be impossible," he murmured, studying a three-dimensional model of Mina's DNA structure. The display showed an elegant double helix interwoven with luminous blue patterns that no human child would possess. "Yet she exists," Nara said simply. Mina sat quietly on an examination table, swinging her legs and watching the adults with curious eyes. She seemed remarkably calm for a child at the center of such tension. "When we met 9 years ago," June said carefully, "the official Kalian position was that our species were genetically incompatible. Was that a lie?" Nara shook her head. "Not a lie. An assumption that was never properly tested. Our governments preferred to maintain distance. But you and I—" June trailed off, glancing at Mina. "Yes," Nara confirmed. "After I was injured during the diplomatic tour and you treated me, we formed a connection that should have been impossible according to both our sciences." June turned back to the screens, scrolling through the test results. "Her cellular structure shows elements of both species, but they're not just combined. There's something new." He pointed to a particular sequence. "This pattern here doesn't exist in either human or Kalian genetics. It's entirely novel." "Is that bad?" Mina asked suddenly, speaking for the first time since the tests began. June looked at her, his expression softening. "No, not bad. Just unexpected. Special." Mina smiled slightly. "Mother says I'm special too. That's why we had to find you." Nara stepped closer to the displays. Mina began showing unusual abilities when she was 4. At first, simple things. Learning languages faster than normal, sensing emotions from a distance. But recently, as if on cue, Mina held out her hand. The stylus on June's desk rose a few centimeters into the air, hovering steadily. Then, as Mina concentrated harder, it began to glow with a soft blue light. June stared, speechless. "Neither Kalians nor humans can manipulate energy fields this way," Nara explained quietly. "When these abilities began appearing, I knew we needed help. Your help. The energy manipulation is getting stronger," Mina added matter-of-factly. "Sometimes it happens when I don't want it to." June ran a hand through his gray-streaked hair. "This changes everything we know about interspecies genetics." He turned to Nara. "Why did you leave? After our time together, why didn't you tell me?" Pain flickered across Nara's face. "I was recalled suddenly. My superiors discovered our closeness. By the time I learned I was carrying Mina, all communication with Earth had been restricted. The Kalian High Council claimed humans were a destabilizing influence," she continued. "But the truth is they feared your species, human adaptability, your creativity. These qualities threaten Kalian notions of superiority." "And now?" June asked. "Now they fear what Mina represents even more." Nora's voice hardened. "A Kalian monitoring vessel followed us to Earth. They'll be searching for us." June was silent for a long moment, processing everything. Finally, he knelt before Mina, studying her face, his own eyes looking back at him from her delicate features. "You have my mother's chin," he said softly, reaching out hesitantly before touching her cheek. "I never thought I'd have a child." Mina regarded him seriously. "Are you angry that I exist?" "No," June said quickly. "No, I'm amazed and honored to meet you." The laboratory door slid open, and Director Han entered with urgent steps. "Dr. Kim, we have a situation. Security detected an unauthorized scan of our facility perimeter. The energy signature matches known Kalian technology." Nara stood sharply. "They found us already." Who exactly is looking for you? Director Han asked. The Genetic Preservation Division, Nera replied. They're responsible for maintaining what they call Kalian genetic purity. If they find Mina. She didn't finish the sentence, but her meaning was clear. June moved to a computer terminal. We need to understand exactly what's happening with Mina's abilities. It might be our best defense. He began typing rapidly. I've been researching energy field manipulation for years. If her hybrid genetics allow her to naturally interface with these fields. The lights flickered. Mina looked up in alarm. They're scanning inside now. I can feel it. June and Nera exchanged startled looks. You can sense their scans? June asked. Mina nodded. It feels like fingers touching my mind. Cold fingers. Director Han moved to the security panel. I'm initiating lockdown protocols. That will buy us some time. Wait, June said. If they're using quantum resonance scanning, that would explain why Mina can sense it. My research suggests consciousness itself has quantum properties. June, Nera interrupted. Theoretical discussions can wait. We need to protect our daughter. Our daughter. The word hung in the air between them. June nodded, determination replacing his scientific curiosity. You're right. He turned to Director Han. Is the phase-shifting field generator in the lower laboratory operational? Yes, but it's experimental, she warned. It might mask Mina's unique energy signature, June explained. Give us time to plan. As they prepared to move, Mina suddenly gasped and clutched her head. They know I'm here, she whispered. They're sending a message. Her eyes rolled back slightly, and she began speaking in a formal Kalian dialect that June couldn't understand. Nera's face paled as she listened. What is she saying? June asked urgently. The Genetic Preservation Division is demanding I surrender Mina for proper evaluation and placement, Nera translated, her voice tight with anger. They claim she represents a dangerous mutation that threatens Kalian future. Mina's eyes refocused, and she looked at her parents with sudden clarity beyond her years. They're afraid, she said simply. Not just of me. Of what I mean. June looked questioningly at Nera. The truth our government has hidden for generations, Nera explained, placing a protective hand on Mina's shoulder. Kalian birth rates have been declining for centuries. Our genetic pool is stagnating without new diversity. Some scientists believe human genetics might offer a solution, but the High Council rejected the idea as cultural contamination. And now Mina proves they were wrong, June concluded, understanding dawning in his eyes. More than that, Nera said. She proves that the combination creates something greater than either species alone. The facility's alarms began to sound, a piercing wail that made them all flinch. They're attempting to override our security systems, Director Han reported. We need to move now. June reached out and took Mina's small hand in his. Don't worry, he told her with a conviction that surprised even himself. I've only just found you. I won't let anyone take you away. For the first time since their arrival, Mina smiled fully. A child's smile, bright with hope. The instruments around them hummed with energy as her emotions manifested physically. I knew you would help us, she said simply. I've been dreaming about you my whole life. The underground laboratory hummed with activity as June worked frantically at his console. Around him, Director Han and her team implemented emergency protocols while Nera kept Mina close, whispering reassurances in their native tongue. The phase-shifting field is active, June announced, wiping sweat from his brow. It should mask Mina's energy signature temporarily, but it won't fool their scanners for long. Through the reinforced windows, they could see security personnel taking defensive positions around the facility. The Institute wasn't designed to withstand a determined attack, especially not from Kalian technology. They're sending another message, Mina said suddenly, her small face screwed up in concentration. They say this is a violation of Kalian law and Earth must surrender us or face consequences. Director Han frowned. They have no jurisdiction here. This is a direct violation of the preliminary contact agreement. Laws won't stop them, Nara replied grimly. The Genetic Preservation Division answers only to the High Council, and they view Mina as both a threat and an asset. June moved to a large storage cabinet and began pulling out equipment. We need to understand exactly what makes Mina's abilities unique. If we can document it scientifically, we might have leverage. He set up a scanner unlike any Nara had seen before. It consisted of a ring of crystalline elements surrounding the central platform. This is a quantum field resonator, he explained. My team developed it to study consciousness at the quantum level. If Mina can manipulate energy fields, this might show us how. Mina stepped onto the platform without hesitation, trusting her father implicitly despite having known him for less than a day. Nara watched anxiously as Jum calibrated the device. Ready? He asked Mina. She nodded solemnly. Think about how you feel when you move objects without touching them. Focus on that feeling. Mina closed her eyes. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a pattern of light formed in the air around her. A complex, shifting web of blue and gold energy that pulsed in rhythm with her breathing. Remarkable, Jun whispered, staring at the readings. She's creating a coherent quantum field, something we've only theorized might be possible. Director Han leaned closer to the display. What does this mean? It means she's not just manipulating existing energy, she's generating it, Jun explained, excitement momentarily overriding his fear. The hybrid connection between her Kalian and human DNA has created neural pathways that can directly influence quantum probability. A sharp alarm cut through their discovery. Perimeter breach, announced the security system. Unknown technology detected at north entrance. They're here, Nara said, moving to pull Mina from the platform. Wait, June urged. Mina, can you make the field stronger? Expand it outward. The child nodded and closed her eyes again. The shimmering pattern around her grew, expanding until it touched the laboratory walls. Equipment throughout the room responded, screens displaying cascading data, lights brightening and dimming in patterns. She's interfacing with our systems, Director Han said incredulously. Suddenly, Mina's eyes flew open. They're coming down the main corridor. 3 of them. Hunters. Her voice held a note of fear for the first time. June turned to Director Han. Is there another way out? The maintenance tunnels lead to an emergency exit on the south side, she replied, moving to a wall panel. But these Kalians will likely have the building surrounded. The laboratory door slid open, and Juan, June's research partner, rushed in. Government forces are 15 minutes out, he reported. I contacted the Science Ministry when the alarms triggered. That may be too late, Nara said, watching as Mina stepped down from the platform, the energy field collapsing around her. The lights suddenly went out, leaving only emergency illumination. Through the tinted windows, they saw 3 tall figures in silver containment suits moving methodically through the outer laboratory. Genetic Preservation Unit, Nara whispered. Elite hunters. Shum grabbed a portable version of his scanning device. The maintenance tunnel now. They hurried through a narrow service corridor, Mina between her parents, Director Han and Juan leading the way. Behind them, they heard the distinctive hum of Kalian energy weapons powering up. Stop, commanded a voice in accented Korean. Return the hybrid specimen immediately. Nara spun around, positioning herself between the hunters and her daughter. She is not a specimen. She is a child under diplomatic protection. The lead hunter advanced, his face hidden behind an opaque helmet. Your diplomatic status was revoked when you violated travel restrictions. The hybrid will be returned to Kalia for proper study. Her name is Mina, Jum said, stepping forward to stand beside Nara. And she's our daughter. The hunter tilted his head. You are the human genetic contributor. Interesting. You may also be required for testing. Mina peered around her parents, studying the hunters with unexpected calmness. "You're afraid," she said simply. "I can feel it." The hunters paused, their stance shifting subtly. "The High Council fears what they don't understand," Nara added. "But Minna represents hope for our people, not a threat." "That is not for you to decide," the lead hunter replied, raising his weapon. "Come now, or we will be forced to use suppression fields." Minna stepped forward despite her parents' attempts to hold her back. "I know why you came," she said, speaking perfect Kalian. "You think I'm wrong, that I shouldn't exist. But I can show you." She raised her small hands, and the air between them shimmered. The hunters' weapons flickered and powered down. Their suit systems followed, leaving them momentarily vulnerable. "Impossible," gasped one hunter, struggling to restart his equipment. "I'm not wrong," Minna continued, her voice steady but strained with effort. "I knew. Different. Like humans were when they first joined the galactic community. Adaptable, creative." Director Han moved to a communication panel. "Earth security forces have entered the building. They're on their way down." The lead hunter removed his helmet, revealing sharp Kalian features marked with the high-status facial patterns of the elite bloodlines. "You speak as if you understand our concerns, child. But you cannot comprehend the danger your existence poses to genetic purity." "Genetic purity is a myth," Jun interjected, displaying data on his portable scanner. "My research shows that Kalian DNA has been stagnating for generations. Without new genetic diversity, your species faces evolutionary dead ends." "That's why the High Council is truly afraid," Nara added. "Not because Minna threatens Kalian purity, but because she proves that human genetics offer something your leaders have denied for centuries: a path forward." The sound of running footsteps echoed from the corridor as Earth security forces approached. The hunters looked at each other, clearly weighing their options. Minna suddenly swayed, the energy field around her flickering as fatigue set in. June caught her before she could fall, cradling her protectively. "Using her abilities drains her," Nara explained, concern evident in her voice. "She needs proper care and training, not to be treated as a laboratory specimen." The lead hunter stepped forward, his weapon lowered but still in hand. For a tense moment, no one moved. Then, to everyone's surprise, he inclined his head in the formal Kalian gesture of respect. "The High Council may not recognize what I have witnessed here today," he said quietly, "but I cannot deny the evidence before me." He turned to his companions. "Stand down. We will report what we have seen truthfully." "Commander Taro, you cannot." One hunter began to protest. "I can and I will," the commander interrupted. "Look at the child. She is not an abomination, as we were told. She is the next step. Exactly what our scientists predicted could happen with human genetic compatibility." Earth security forces burst into the corridor, weapons raised. Director Han quickly moved to intercept them, explaining the situation in rapid Korean. As the standoff de-escalated, Minna looked up at her father with tired eyes. "Did I do okay?" she asked simply. Jun hugged her close, meeting Nara's gaze over their daughter's head. "You did more than okay," he assured her. "You showed them a truth they weren't ready to see." "And now?" Nara asked, directing her question to both Jun and the Kalian commander. "Now," Commander Taro said, "many difficult conversations must begin, on Earth and Kalia both." The United Nations Special Assembly Hall buzzed with tension as representatives from 193 Earth nations gathered. At the center of attention stood a small family, June in formal Earth attire, Nara in traditional Kalian robes, and between them, Minna, wearing a simple dress that combined elements from both cultures. 6 weeks had passed since the confrontation at the research facility. Those weeks had brought dramatic changes as news of Minna's existence spread first through scientific communities, then to government officials, and finally to the public. Today would mark the first official acknowledgement of human Kalian genetic compatibility at the highest diplomatic level. "Are you nervous?" Jun asked his daughter quietly as they waited in the antechamber. Minna looked up at him with those remarkable eyes that reflected both her heritage lines. A little, but I practiced my speech many times. Nera smoothed a wrinkle from Minna's dress. Remember, you only need to speak if you feel comfortable. No one will force you. The doors opened, and a UN official beckoned them forward. As they walked into the grand hall, hundreds of faces turned toward them. Among the Earth delegation sat a small group of Kalians, the first official diplomatic mission in 9 years. Commander Taro stood among them, his decision to report truthfully about Minna having created ripples throughout Kalian society. The Secretary General welcomed them to the podium. Today marks a historic moment in interspecies relations, she began. We gather to witness scientific evidence that challenges fundamental assumptions about our place in the galaxy. June stepped forward first, presenting the research he had compiled. His voice, initially shaky, grew stronger as he spoke about the remarkable genetic compatibility that had been dismissed by both species. For generations, we believed fundamental differences in our cellular structures made meaningful biological connection impossible, he explained. We were wrong. The compatibility was always there. It simply manifested in ways our narrow scientific viewpoints couldn't predict. As he displayed the genetic analysis on the large screens, murmurs spread through the assembly. The evidence was clear and undeniable. Nera spoke next, her musical Kalian accent carrying easily through the hall. My people have long prided themselves on genetic purity, she said candidly. But this pride concealed a growing problem. Kalian birth rates have declined for 7 generations. Our genetic diversity has narrowed to dangerous levels. She paused, looking directly at the Kalian delegation. What we called purity was actually stagnation, and what we feared as contamination may be our salvation. In the audience, Commander Taro nodded slightly, acknowledging the truth of her words. The High Council has begun reviewing its policies, he announced when it was his turn to speak. While change will not come easily to a culture as traditional as ours, the evidence presented by this child cannot be ignored. All eyes turned to Minna. She stepped forward with surprising poise for an 8-year-old. The microphone was adjusted to her height. I am both human and Kalian, she said simply. Some people think that makes me wrong or dangerous, but I think it makes me a bridge. She looked back at her parents, drawing strength from their encouraging smiles. My mother's people can see patterns across great distances. My father's people can imagine things that don't exist yet and make them real. I can do both. To demonstrate, she held out her hands. Above her palms, a small field of energy formed, shaping itself into a model of DNA. But not a standard double helix. This structure was more complex, with additional patterns woven through it that shimmered with Kalian bioluminescence. This is what happens when different things come together, she continued as the assembly watched in amazement. Something new, something better. The demonstration concluded, and the Secretary General called for questions. For 2 hours, scientists and diplomats from both worlds engaged in dialogue that would have been unimaginable months earlier. Later that evening, the family returned to the apartment that had become their temporary home. Minna, exhausted from the day's events, fell asleep quickly. June and Nera sat on the balcony, looking out at Earth's night sky. The Kalian Council has officially dropped all charges against you, June said, breaking their comfortable silence. Nera nodded, and offered research positions to us both at the Central Science Academy. They're eager to study Minna's abilities. How do you feel about returning to Kalia? She turned to look at him, her expression thoughtful. I think Minna should know both worlds. Perhaps we could divide our time. June took her hand gently. 9 years had passed, yet the connection between them remained, transformed but unbroken by time and distance. When you left, he said quietly, I never expected to see you again. I certainly never imagined we had created a child together. I wanted to tell you, she replied. Every day as I watched her grow, saw your features in her face, your curiosity in her mind. We have time now, June assured her. Time to learn how to be parents together. Time to help both our worlds understand what Minna represents. Inside the apartment, monitors tracked Mina's brainwave patterns as she slept. The readings showed something remarkable: neural activity that neither species had exhibited before, networks forming in patterns that suggested capabilities yet to be discovered. The following morning, Minna woke to find her parents reviewing the data together. "You were dreaming strongly," Nora observed. "Do you remember what about?" Minna nodded. "I dreamed about other children like me. Many of them, on both worlds." June and Nara exchanged glances. "Do you think that's possible?" Joan asked carefully. "Other human Kalian children?" "Not yet," Minna replied with the simple certainty of childhood. "But soon, I saw them clearly." Later that day, the first official Joint Human-Kalian Scientific Commission was formed. Its purpose: to study the implications of interspecies compatibility and establish ethical guidelines for future relationships. June and Nara were appointed as co-chairs, with Minna given the unique position of bridge consultant. As news spread throughout Earth and across the stars to Kalia, hundreds of mixed couples who had kept their relationships secret began to come forward. Scientists who had privately researched compatibility, despite official restrictions, shared their findings. A new chapter in galactic relations had begun. That evening, as the family walked through a park near their apartment, they attracted curious but mostly friendly stares. Minna skipped ahead, occasionally making fallen leaves dance around her without touching them. A small demonstration of abilities she was learning to control. "Are you worried about the future?" Joan asked Nara as they watched their daughter. She considered the question seriously. "Yes," she admitted. "Change never comes easily. There will be resistance, fear, perhaps even danger." "But," he prompted, sensing there was more. Nara smiled, a rare full expression of joy that made her luminescent Kalian features glow slightly in the fading light. "But I believe in bridges," she said, watching Minna create tiny sparkling patterns in the air. "Especially ones built with love." "Why now?" June asked. "After all these years?" "Because she's changing," Nara replied, watching as Minna unconsciously made a small pencil on a nearby desk roll without touching it. "And I can't protect her alone anymore."